Yeah, I'm interested to see too, because right now primarily it's AWS and Azure. And Google sitting out there with GCP. I know Citrix has some of their control plane stuff there for DAS. I know that some other EUC vendors have also used GCP for their for the hosting piece of that side. They've also recently, I think last year, they announced their bare metal service as well. So it seems like Google is starting to make some moves on the GCP. I can't even talk GCP side. But I wonder, they're kind of out there like they're the one of the big three cloud vendors right now out there, that you guys see, because I know we talked about GCP as well with some of your customers. But I wonder if they're going to make any play for any of these other EUC solutions, because they're kind of the third one out there that doesn't have their own broker type solution. So also too, like I mentioned before, I know you guys have talked about GCP, or we talked about before in our side chats. Are you guys seeing a lot of customers there? Because I know in the past, Oz, I think you did some Disney on Frame stuff there, but are you still seeing a lot of good demand there for GCP?
We don't do a ton there, right? It comes up in conversations once in a while. Honestly, it did just the past week actually, and talking about BYO licensing, and I had to tell them that's going to be a sticker shock, because they got a single tenant option in GCP, because you can do Win 11 over there, but you got to buy it, right? So it does come up, and yes, Citrix obviously has really nice integration from an MCS orchestration standpoint. GCP is one of the big three hyperscalers, so it makes sense. But for us, not near as much over there on that side.
Yep. On the EUC side, I know just in general with community, I know we've seen a lot of changes, hence why we're even here on this right now. There's been a lot of changes of OEMs doing their own thing, pulling back a little bit. But then I think we mentioned it earlier with some of that stuff, is like COVID has kind of changed everything still. And we're still seeing ripples of it. I just came and spoke from a VMUG today. And I was over there yesterday, and it's just, a fraction of the number that was there in 2018, 2019. It's still going up there. And it's kind of wild to see how much it's changed. And then, like we said, CTP, our tier comes out for that. And a lot of those things are also changing.
Yeah, on the community side, it's I'll tell you, it's something I haven't, it's we were go open the can of worms here, but just short. It's just
small. a little thing to stand on. Little soapbox.
Yeah, it's just community. There's big community changes, and it's interesting if you see the big changes Citrix made to the community. Omnissa is making, like, they're shrinking the investment, Citrix, and Omnissa is increasing the investment, right? So you're seeing that. And just being even as far as, we are looking at it, it's like, man, you can see the difference, like huge difference. And from Citrix, from a business perspective, you take your community hat off, you take your CTP hat off, you take your human hat off, and you look at what they're doing from a business standpoint. It doesn't make sense for them to invest in the community right now. I personally, I think it makes, like, if you just look at it from that perspective, but if you look at it, and that's short-term vision, right? And you look at it from a longer term, these are soldiers that value your product, and they're going to eventually go to other companies, and they're going to eventually be at one of those larger enterprise companies that you're trying to get into, or you're already there. Maybe you want to expand. They're the champion. So I feel like things could have been done a little differently there. It is what it is. You got to move on, right? And then on the CTP side, obviously that program got discontinued. I think it when you look at, again, their vision, right? CTP was a lot of that feedback came, driving a lot of the product direction and vision there. A lot of that's done behind the scenes, but a lot of it they looked at for, like, what's being blogged out there, amplifying the message and that sort of thing. And that's the area they're not focusing on, right? The marketing, they don't care about marketing. And so I think it just got kind of shrunk down, and maybe something will spawn at a later date or something. But at the end of the day, that is something that impacted us as a partner and other people as well, because you have these strong relationships and we had direct access to product teams. But thankfully, everyone that still works there is still, we are in great communication with. Yes. We still have those connections and still able to have those conversations. But yeah, it was something that was definitely a deep kind of kind of guess kicking the nuts a little bit, but you just take a step back and you look at it and you understand it, and you gotta just move on and contribute where you can other ways and help the community. And I'll tell you what, that because that happened with the community, look at World EUC, what spawned, and how fast, right? You guys reacted within, days of that announcement on the CGC side. And that was 8+ years of heart, soul and everyone put in, right? And it just flipped back to now being agnostic for everybody. I mean, just awesome work on that, and just seeing the growth over the last year, the conference. I mean, it's just incredible. And we're proud to be a part of that, on the sponsorship side, and obviously being friends and supporting you guys as much as possible. But it's really, I think, every, bad thing that happens, something good always comes out of it. Right. And this is definitely, one of those things. So.
Any thoughts, Oz?
Open that can of worms there.
What? That was a big can of worms we opened. I think.
Well, I will shorten it up.
I think he emptied the can there. So
there's no. It's recycled now.
Well, because you saw it there in Omaha too. In your own area too. With Kansas City and Omaha, with both strong user groups and lots of people showing up, and then it kind of has fizzled. And then trying to get the band back together, it's really hard. Yeah, it's been really hard because some people, I think, just when that period of time went by and they said, my career has been basically the same with or without going to these user group meetings once a month, once a quarter, it's just fallen off the radar, and the drive's not there. But I think there's still something very magical about those kind of community meetings, not just the session you watch because you might learn something, but it's what happens before and after that session, and just yapping about, because we're all in it together. We all have the same problems. We all have the same users. People still can't print, right? It's all the same things, and that kind of community. And then also yapping about barbecue and kids and sports and TV and all that, all that comes in there. And then that's when you really are it becomes really a user group at that point and a community. And, it's just really hard to get things rolling. But I'm positive after EUC World. I think that was really awesome. And y'all came up there and knocked it out of the park. And that was great, and showed your support for the community there too. And I know we've got lots of big things coming too. So I'm excited.
Yeah, Titans will make their changes. We just got to keep the fellowship going through it all.
That's right.
Yep. For me personally, and I think for Shane too, we didn't lose that because I still lead my local Nutanix user group here. So I actually was doing two of them at the same time, which, to be honest, was a little overwhelming. So I was actually on when that all went away from a Citrix standpoint, it actually reduced some stress for me a little bit because I still have the Nutanix user group. So as soon as I got done planning one, I was planning the next, and it was just constant. So, yep.
Yeah, and you mentioned the CTP program and all of us being, former CTPs and that kind of stuff. Well, I think some fundamental changes needed to be made to the group. I am kind of surprised that it ended and how abruptly it ended. But I guess on the other hand, we shouldn't be so surprised either with how abruptly CGC ended as well. So
if you look historically at how the communication is done by Citrix, it's kind of just like make the move quick, and let the dust settle and they move on, right? And it's historically with that. It's just it's not, you'd like it to be more personal and have this one say this or that, but at the end of the day, it's it happened. You got to just kind of, you can't stay down on it. You got to keep moving forward and keep the connections, do what you can. But it's definitely the group needed to be, I think the change needed to adjust to the new vision, which is really product focused, right? Really focused on giving direct feedback, constant interaction, and driving the features in the product, and that's different than I think some of the folks in the group were focused on whether it's blogging or amplifying the message, or not as much on the product side. And so I guess top down they looked and said, hey, we're not going to worry about this right now, but we still give feedback where we can, and not gonna change that, regardless of what happens there. So
agree there. Yeah, just, whether there's a program or not, we keep doing the same things. It doesn't really change what we do day to day. Kind of circling back on the tech side here, Azure, was it NGCA, I believe, for NVIDIA?
Yeah, they just changed it to the Enterprise Advisor or something, NEPA program. But yeah, they just rebranded it. But yes.
Yeah, so kind of going into to GPUs and stuff. What are you seeing for GPUs in your customers? Are you seeing a lot? I know at one point everyone's like GPU for everyone, but you kind of got to keep more strategic and based on use case. So kind of want to hear what you're seeing with GPUs out there in the field.
Yeah, definitely strategic. And thank goodness we were early on that bus for graphics related workloads in NVIDIA back in the Kepler days, and been doing it a long time before this, the world caught fire with AI and that side of things with the GPU side of story. So we've been doing the graphics with GPU, I don't know, maybe 10 years now. Definitely important and it gave us a leg up because we're known as one of the few actual partners that specialize and are good at designing, and building workloads and EUC graphical heavy solutions on top of it.
You don't just go to Best Buy and pick up a card. Like, what's going on?
There's a lot to think about, right? So into these type of specialized workloads, there is a lot to think about. So yeah, it's definitely an important facet for our business, because I can't even tell you, like right now, I think I have 4 or 5 CAD CAM specific ones, most of them being that I'm designing on Nutanix for GPU related workloads. This is all the SolidWorks, all the Revit, even the school districts are teaching this stuff, CAD CAM, for those curriculums. And they're finding out that it saves them costs. You centralize those, you don't have to buy a $5,000 workstation. You just shift some of the costs to the data center. It's not like you're saving a ton, but you're shifting it and you're centralizing all those data sets, keeping it secure, the whole story, right? So we've been doing that for quite some time. But yeah, it's not all workloads. There are some that want that general, I want to make Windows 11 better situation. Right. I want to make it more like a localized laptop. Because you think about it, even those of us running like mine right now, I have an Intel GPU on my CPU. Like I got a GPU here. If you take that away altogether with a VDI situation, you're losing something. So some of them want that, and they're not doing heavy use, CAD CAM or anything like that. But it's definitely a discussion. It's not a GPU for all, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Microsoft Office is definitely a hungry hippo for all the menus and the layout and the smoothness and all that. Like a GPU makes it much, much better if you can give someone and I guess on the NVIDIA side, they've really tweaked it down to kind of those productivity use cases instead of just high end, makes a Pixar movie, play a video game in it, where you can get just a sliver of it. And that's enough to make a visual difference. And then as the UIs are going, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I do see a difference without even like Benny and Go EUC and Ruben and all those with all their metrics. You can just see it, you can feel it, and it's tangible and real. Whereas like if you weren't playing the video game on there, you'd never know if it was good or bad, right?
Yep, exactly. You don't have to be doing high-end stuff to realize when you lose your GPU.
Just in traditional browser these days is the big app, right? I mean, so yeah, it's definitely a big part of it. And seeing that just when you talk cloud PC, there's a SKU for GPU as well. And we got a large.
That's really cool. I'm looking forward to that because that's the thing. I think like even Windows 11 on its own, which is like the default OS for like cloud PC. That's where I think it shines, is having just that little sprinkle of GPU, because it's just so much more graphics. It's not just a gray start menu bar that we had for 15 years or something like that. It's all rounded and smooth, and the way Arrow loads and the menus and all that. Like you need a little nugget of something.